the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast here on a Friday morning. We are so glad that you join us each and every day, whenever and wherever it is that you join us here on the Auburn Blitz and making Auburn Blitz part of your daily Auburn athletic intake. Brett and Faith here to get you started on a Friday. TGIF to everybody out there. We all look forward to Friday. Good morning. Good to see you, Faith.
Good morning. Good to see you too. We love a good Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. They're all good Fridays, man. I mean, really they are. Our podcast and everything Auburn is brought to you by the Glenda Mitchell Law Firm. We could not do our program without her, and what a great partner we have in Glenda Mitchell and her law firm. And she's a fighter for you out there. That's her motto. And look, in this world, you need a fighter. You need somebody that's going to go to bat for you, and Glenda Mitchell will do that. Hopefully you don't have to use her, but if you are in a car accident or somebody in your family, she's here for you, and she gives you her personal cell phone number so you can go straight through her, no middle people. That just tells you, I mean, as big as she is, she's going to be right there with you along the way. So glad to have somebody like that associated with us.
Absolutely. She cares about all of her clients and wants to make sure they have the best result and outcome. And just you can't go with anybody else.
No. Why would you? So she's going to remind you too as you're driving down the road and you see all her billboards. So anyway, we have, man, what all do we have this morning? I mean, a boatload of stuff. And by the way, we are on a recorded podcast, so some of that disappoints.
I was going to say, we look like we've been in the same outfits for like days at a time.
I know it is a recorded. Yeah, exactly. It's been a long day, so technically it's 2 days with everybody watching, but we know some of you get disappointed that you can't interact with us, but you can interact over here with each other. I mean, but just do want to say that every time we do a recorded one, we want to let everybody know that we're not just ignoring the comments over here. So Donovan Moore chooses Auburn. What a big commitment for Alex Golesh to land the number one player by some recruiting sites, number one player in the state of Alabama, one of the top defensive linemen in the country. We're going to dive into that, Faith. You and I saw him up close and personal in the playoffs. We watched Benjamin Russell in Hueytown play, and we knew how good he was, and we saw what a specimen he was on the sideline. Our buddy Kyle Rush came up to that game, and as soon as we saw the news come across, he texted me, and he's like, man, we knew that night because we all got to see him up close and personal. We're like, that's a guy you want on your team. And so we're about to talk about him. Defensive backs could make a difference this year. We know that there was a lot of hype around the DBs last year going into the season. I think there's a reason to be hyped up with some different names, obviously. A rebuilt room. We've been saying that. But defensive backs, baseball gets underway tonight, and softball yesterday wins their home opener. We'll get into all that. But first things first, Auburn landing Hueytown defensive lineman, 2027 class, Donovan Moore.
Yeah, great timing that we talked about yesterday, just how important relationships are. And, Donovan Moore was being recruited by Hugh Freeze's time when he was there. And, he was able to make a close relationship with Vontrell King-Williams. And obviously with him staying at Auburn with this new Alex Golesh staff and everything, he remained in contact with Auburn, and having that relationship throughout the last couple of years really makes a huge difference, even with the coaching changes. And so, like you said, seeing him up close and personal, he was a big boy, and he really made an impact in that game for Hueytown.
He did. They didn't win the game, but it was a very good football
Slight.
game.
You just had to say it. You just had to
Well,
say.
I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, I had to get that jab in, but no cut on Donovan Moore. He is a tremendous player, and glad he has selected Auburn for sure. That you go out when you're in the second, third round of the high school playoffs, you're looking out there and you're going, I'll take that guy. I'll take that guy. It doesn't matter which team he's on. But if you'll remember, Faith, Hueytown and Benjamin Russell both just had a plethora of top talent, and it was a lot of 27 and 28 guys on the field. It wasn't so much 26 guys. It was a bunch of 27, 28 guys that we're going to see again this year. And, you know, we heard some other news about some guys yesterday that we can't share yet. Here I go again saying stuff that I can't
Yeah,
tell
I don't know. You've got to stop doing that because
But we want people to stay tuned because we will in time let everybody know what's going on. But and they'll know what we're talking about when we get there. But again, Donovan Moore anchored that defensive line, and he caused problems that night for Benjamin Russell. It reminded me, you know, a lot of some guys that we've seen in the past. And, you know, in high school, you can look like a beast, but then you go, when the ball snapped, you go, okay, that guy just didn't have a motor. He reminded me of Malik Blockton a lot. Now, they're different sizes, but Pike Road came to Benjamin Russell 2 years ago, and Malik Blockton owned that game. They ended up winning that game in the third round by a field goal. Basically on the last play of the game, they kicked a field goal to win it. But Malik Blockton was unblockable that night. And, you know, one of the things going into that game that was a knock on Malik Blockton is that there were times during the season he would take plays off and wouldn't have, you know, really the motor that you expected from a defensive lineman. Well, not that night. He owned and disrupted everything Benjamin Russell did, and we got a great preview of what he ended up being. Now, I hate he left, and he's at LSU now, but that is what it is. But while he was at Auburn, he was a very productive player, and now you look at Donovan Moore, 6'4", 280 pounds, and he is a lean 280. He does not look like he weighs 280 pounds because of how he's put together. Very fast, very quick first step off the line of scrimmage. I'm excited to see him this season and kind of see what he does in his senior year. But again, just a tremendous pickup for Alex Golesh. And look, trying to build this 27 class and getting your name out there and getting these coaching staff, huge to keep Vontrell on staff and continue that relationship and land him. Now, again, you got to get to signing day, and a lot can change and you can flip and all that. But right now, from a momentum standpoint, you add your second commit to this 27 class, and it's a massive one.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I mean, just the way I do remember that Hueytown, they might have lost the game, but they did own the lines of scrimmage that game, especially their defense. That was just
That I'm not.
Benjamin Russell lacked on
Well,
the
they did.
offense.
I mean, you know, that ended up being what cost Benjamin Russell in the fourth round of the playoffs was, you know, lines of scrimmage. But again, you're right in everything you're saying.
Yeah, so it's going to be good for Donovan Moore to, you know, hopefully, again, remain at Auburn because a lot can happen. But
it just seems like he's got a really good relationship, as you can hear some of the quotes. And I when I read some of these quotes, Faith, I thought about you and I at practice and watching Coach. You know, watching Vontrell coach this defensive line, and we always gravitated at some point in time over there because it was just a lot of fun to watch him and how much energy he provides and how much he cares about that group. But he is hard as hell on that group and expects a lot. And if you're going half tail, I can't remember who it was, but he was going half speed and just wasn't firing off.
it was Keldrick.
It was Keldrick. You're exactly right. I was thinking it might have been Keldrick, but I was like, no, surely it wasn't. But it was. He said, look, man, we got all day. we'll just keep letting you go until you get it right. And again, that's one of the top guys on the team last year. And he's like, hey, buddy, we got all day.
He said, get back in line, do it again,
and
or we can sit here and do it all day.
And so it didn't matter how you were ranked on the team or how you were viewed, or if you were a team captain. If you weren't bringing the energy that day, hey, he let you know it, and he would make you stay there until you did it right. And that's kind of what he's talking about. He's like Donovan Moore saying, he's not going to sugarcoat anything. He's going to work with you. He's going to get you to the next level, and he's going to make you a better person and a better man. And I think that's a strong quote from a high schooler, that you look at somebody as a mentor and a leader, and somebody you go, look, he's a good coach, but that guy right there is who I want to emulate. That's who I want to learn how to be a human and go out into the public and emulate myself.
Again, that's the same thing that I kind of said earlier or yesterday about how when we went around the state and talked to the different, top 12 kids in the state, and then kind of seeing what guys were getting recruited by what school. Again, this right here tells you what kind of guys you are getting to come to Auburn because of the coaches and who they want to bring in and how they see that they will either fit or not in whatever position group it is. And so you see a lot of really, I want to say, influential type players on the defensive line the last couple of years that have, made not only big impacts on the field, but also off the field.
Yeah. And, I look over and think about us going this summer. Obviously, the first one we're going to go see is Donovan Moore. We're letting the cat out of the bag here. You got to start with the number one player in the state and an Auburn commit here for us to cover. And so I know that's one of the first things I thought of when I saw the announcement come across and I sent it to you, is I'm like, well, we know which way we're going for the first, prospect interview this summer of the top 10 or 12. We ended up doing 12 last year. We'll probably do that again, but hey, what a better way to start than the number one player, and he's committed to Auburn.
Yeah, there is no doubt that was one of the first things I was like, this is great. Again, hope it stays consistent in his commitment.
So obviously he'll be, I'm assuming we'll see him at A-Day on April 18th. We'll see a lot of prospects, visit on A-Day. But, in the meantime, kind of some stats on Donovan Moore for everybody. Looking at what he was able to do as a sophomore, totaled 58 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 interceptions. And he returned both of those for touchdowns. So, again, a big part of the 27 class. And, looking forward to seeing what the future holds with him and watching him at Hueytown again, because, again, I think we've said it till we're blue in the face. Lines of scrimmage determine the DNA and what you're made up of with your whole program. And yesterday I gave the comparison that you gave with the heart scan. The heart's got to be healthy to give everything to the body that it needs. Well, the offensive and defensive lines have to be very dominant, or not very dominant. They have to be competitive. And if you're dominant, it makes everything around you so much better. And then, going into the defensive back discussion, which we're about to do here in just a second, if your defensive line is getting pressure and you're not having to walk DBs up and use them as blitzers, and they can cover, and they're not having to cover guys for 4, 5, 6 seconds, it makes them better too. So the defensive front kind of affects all the way through the levels of the defense, linebackers to the secondary.
Yeah, you said it great.
I get credit every once in a while. Let's talk about Marcus Van Dyke. Again, I always want to call him Dick Van Dyke because he's that guy was such a famous actor. And also, but now Auburn's got DeMarcus Van Dyke. And so, looking at what Auburn lost in the portal and, kind of the hype around last year's secondary, with no K and Lee, no Jay Crawford, those guys transferring out, some of the ones that left. Now you look at who stayed, and you kind of went through that on the lunch show yesterday, and you went back through, and one of the first ones you talked about was Rayshon Pleasant. Rayshon Pleasant didn't start in a lot of games, Faith, but he did make an appearance in every game.
Yeah, he did. And I mean, there were definitely times that you remembered who he was, especially in obviously that Baylor game. No question about that. But yeah, he's going to be somebody that could be competing for a starting position in a starting spot. And so, they added 5 corners out of the portal. Andre Jordan Jr. from UCLA. Oh gosh, Shamar
Arno.
What?
Arno.
Arno. Okay.
Yeah.
And he was at Florida State. Gavin Jenkins, who was at USF. Scrap Richardson, Notre Dame. Kamari Todd at Chattanooga. I mean, these are some guys that got some good playing time. Some of them are young too, that didn't get as much, but still getting some experience. Obviously, the ones from South Florida who have, worked together and now coming with this staff. So, I mean, I feel like we can't even say that it's going to look the same as it did last year, because last year we thought the secondary was going to be the star of the show. And starting out the season, they did not look the same way they did in practice.
They didn't. I had people texting me again. I don't know why for 2 days in a row now we're reliving the Baylor game. I feel like I'm
I know.
But during the game, I was showing you text messages from a bunch of friends.
You're like, you're a liar.
Like, what have y'all been doing? Have y'all really been going to practice? Like, all I've heard you guys say on every podcast is how unbelievable this secondary is. They ain't covered anybody. They got a tight end that's caught 800 passes tonight. They ain't stopped anybody. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, because we've all been duped. I thought this was going to be, and now as the season went along, they obviously showcased why they were. And that happened the year before, if you'll remember. The secondary got better as the season went on. And I thought to myself, well, hell, it has no choice but to get better after what we just watched. Because if they'd have had 10 more minutes of playtime in this game, they probably would have completed 25 more passes. And
I think the scariest part was, if they looked so good against Auburn's offense last year, dear Lord, Auburn's offense must have been so god awful for them to have really just put the icing on the cake. Looked so good. It was terrifying. The conversation you and I had after that Baylor game
the delirium of that post-game show will go down in history.
I don't even remember it really.
Well, I do, in the car, in a parking lot, because we thought we were going to a place that we were going to be able to go in. And I walked in, and Club La Vila in Panama City in its heyday had nothing on this place. Couldn't hear anything. I'm like, well, we're definitely not going in there. We're sure. And you're finally like, it's getting late. It's already midnight. Can we just do the show? And we did it. And all I remember you doing was laughing for the first 5 minutes. And everybody was like, what?
That's right. That was, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. It's coming back to me.
So, yeah, so we've relived Baylor for the last 48 hours. But anyway, with that being said, you saw that secondary get better. Rayshon Pleasant, though, some quotes that Coach Van Dyke had about him. He said, I think the thing that Rayshon with Rayshon is he just more opportunities he has on the field, the more production he'll have. He has the tools. He's fast. He's one of the fastest players on the team, obviously. And the more opportunities he has on the field, you'll see more production. All season, pretty much is we're trying to hone in on technique. And I think he's right on that with what Rayshon did last year. He was a guy that was always knocking on an opportunity to get a start nod, but he was playing behind Jay Crawford and Kayan Lee, and he just couldn't get on the field. And it was not a cut on him, but I mean, those were two pretty dang good corners. And so who you sit in one just to give him playing time. And so he was always the third guy. He was the first off the bench if you needed. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to Rayshon Pleasant taking the next step. And another guy, Faith, I'll let you talk about is Blake Woodby. Some things that he said about Blake, really saw some flashes of how good he is. And that pipeline from St. Francis Academy in Maryland, he's one of those guys. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what Blake Woodby can do.
Yeah, he said that he's a guy that can do it all. He plays inside, outside, someone that they're really going to have to lean on this year. And, pretty much to get us out of games and help us win games. He can play some nickel, some field corner, bounty corner, and he's got the energy, and he's somebody that you want to be playing at corner, and he's confident. He knows the playbook inside and out, and for a young guy, very promising. So again, those are some things that you just can't coach into people, and that's just how they're programmed to basically have, that skill set. And so again, last year obviously didn't see him a lot, young guy. Great opportunity for him this year to get some more playing time, and the versatility that he brings is going to be a huge asset because, again, if he can be all over the field, go ahead and put him there. He's willing to do it.
Yeah, I agree. And, another quote from Coach Van Dyke saying that the guys they brought in are just really tall and they can run. And so when you listen to that, matchup problems for guys that are smaller, some of these bigger wide receivers like a Cam Coleman, some of the guys that just physically outmatch. Well, you got a bunch of tall, lean, fast guys that can run, and they can create matchup problems for the opposing offense. So another guy that he was high on that had praise, and a guy that started for 2 years at UCLA, you bring in Andre Jordan Jr., Faith, and he had some big things to say about him as well.
Yeah, basically saying that he's compete at a high level, and that, the Indiana game, he's able to get in guys' face, press the guys, attack them.
And I think he had a good game against Ohio State too last year, if I remember.
Yeah, and being able to be one of those guys off the field who's kind of quiet and doesn't have much to say, but then on the field, you're able to see that that's where he's most comfortable at and where he really shines. And so excited to see what he can bring. He's started in a lot of games, and he's got some experience. And again, that's something that with this portal, it's really great to bring in guys that already have experience at this level.
Yeah, and then Gavin Jenkins, who redshirted last year at USF, really talked about him out of high school being able to play both ways. And, one of the things that they kind of focused on with him, he's got really good ball skills. And again, we knew about all these guys and some of these guys coming out of the portal, but to hear Coach Van Dyke sit down with the media and tell us a little bit about each one of them, kind of dive a little bit more in depth. So we kind of know what we're going to be seeing when we get out there at spring practice. So we'll look for Gavin Jenkins, knowing that he played both wide receiver and defensive back in high school, that he's got that helps you because he's got a intuitive sense of what a receiver is going to do in certain situations.
Yeah, and that's why I'm excited to talk about Scrap Richardson, who...
What a name, by the way.
Maybe we're related.
I mean, can I start calling you Scrap? You kind of scrappy sometimes. So
I don't know, but maybe we're related. Anyway,
but Scrappy would be
high
perfect
school.
name though, by the way.
Yeah, high school played quarterback, some linebacker, some DB, and then at Notre Dame he played receiver. And this is kind of the same thing that you were saying. I mean, when you have that knowledge on both sides of the ball, now they're just waiting for it to kind of click for him
Right.
on the defensive side at cornerback. And so when it does click for him, he could be a potential draft pick. I mean, this is somebody that you got to work with, but again, you've already have that football IQ level that not a lot of people have, and it's a gift. And so for him to have that and have that experience at receiver where, you know, those things make sense and you can say, hey, I can read this perfectly. And once it does click for him,
Right.
his potential is off the charts.
You know, so a lot of new faces with the corners, but when you look at the second, the safeties, and we're not going to talk about them today, but now you bring back some guys that had some playing time. And again, high on Eric Winters, we'll save that for later. And then, of course, you and I both expect new boy Fagans to take the next step. He just screams, you know, one of the elite guys before he leaves Auburn. So a lot of excitement around his potential and what he's going to bring to the table. All right, let's talk about some of our partners, because talking about elite, we have elite partners, and we're glad we have elite partners, and we always start with
Cincy Green. Cincy Green, for air that is cool and clean, call on Cincy Green. They are the carrier experts in the state of Alabama, proud supporters of Auburn athletics and a proud supporter of the Auburn Blitz. It was 70 degrees today.
I'm telling you, I was loving the spring fever today. I'm just going to
I know you look a little sunburnt, Brett. What were you doing?
I had to go check out some fishing today at Lake Martin, big elite tournament. So, and then yesterday I was out on the lake helping. So that was pretty much from wind. And then today was more of the sun. So I've gotten a double dose here. So
I'm jealous.
Hey, we got a lot of spring and summer coming. So I'm here for it. But yeah, thanks to Cincy Green and them for being the carrier experts here in the state. Scout Program Management, a full construction management firm located in Birmingham, Alabama, but serving the entire state, serving all over the Southeast, and everything that they do. They're top notch. They are the best in the business. Check them out online, scoutpm.com. They work with municipalities, boards of education, whatever it is. They've got two big projects coming up with Marshall County and Lee County over in Opelika. So just exciting to see them continue to be the premier leader in program management, and everybody knows why you choose them, because they're the best in the business. So go check out Scout Program Management online.
Bunkers in downtown Auburn. It's Friday, so that means that they have all the good things going on. Live music. Obviously, they're going to have some of the sports on, and great food always, and happy hour deals. So if you are going to be in Auburn, make sure you go ahead and get that line leap so that you can get in and go ahead and pay your cover while it's cheaper, and head over to Bunkers. I mean, it's one of the best places to be. Love Bunkers. Again, great food, live music, dancing sometimes.
The whole 9 yards. They got it all, whatever you're looking for. Talking about having it all, if you're looking at a golf cart, they've got it all at the Cart Source. Alabama's premier golf cart superstore. Well, what a title. I mean, is there any reason to look anywhere else? Easy Go, Cushman, Yamaha, and Club Car. Those are the top names in the business, all of them. So if you're looking for a golf cart, you know, one for personal reasons, one for your business, you need a 6-seater, 8-seater, they've got them. Faith, I can't wait till you see all the new ones they have on the lot. I drive by there pretty frequently, and I mean, they're just got a new shipment, and they move them out so fast. So if you don't find what you want on the lot, they'll go find it for you.
Maybe I can get windburnt from just driving all the golf carts when we go up there.
You
so I can feel
definitely,
something.
yeah, from the speed, make sure you get on one of those that have a governor, so we don't need you going 70 miles an hour down that side road.
I don't know. I want to go on the fast ones.
Like I said, let's find one that's got a governor on there so we don't run off the road. But anyway, 334-231-2205. Next Wednesday, we'll be out there. Hopefully, it'll be a weather day like we had yesterday.
And I'm going to be driving fast. You don't have to get on. You can just watch.
Probably won't. I'll be filming. So anyway, looking forward to the Cart Source next Wednesday. All right, baseball gets underway tonight. Look, we've been hyping this up for a while, and Butch Thompson, as I said yesterday, is the dean of Auburn coaches. Now he is the veteran, and he has the most consistent program. And Butch, along with Bruce Pearl obviously retiring, really took Auburn to heights that it's never seen in basketball. We kind of went through yesterday the number of tournaments Auburn's been to since 2018. They've only missed one. And before then, it was like 2003 before Auburn. What a big gap. I mean, that's what Auburn fans were used to in basketball, literally going 10, 12, 15 years and not going to the tournament. And Bruce Pearl changed all that. Well, that's what Butch Thompson did with Auburn's baseball program too. But, Auburn's had some good baseball coaches, but nobody since Hal Baird has been able to do what Butch Thompson's done. And, Auburn hosted a super regional this past year, ran up on a buzzsaw in Coastal Carolina, just a tremendous program, ended up winning.
There were a few injured players, though, during that time that they couldn't get any production out of them. And so that was hard.
Absolutely. And it seems like, I can go down the list of, Tanner Burns and Casey Mize and the top draft picks that Butch Thompson's had. It just seems like every year, though, there's always some kind of injury preseason or into the early part of the season that really hampers what this team can do as far as its full capacity. And, one of the first things that Butch Thompson said the other day in one of the press conferences is that we're healthy, and we're as healthy as we've been, and excited for that. They get started tonight against Youngstown State at 5:30, and then 6 o'clock on Saturday and 2 o'clock on Sunday. If you can't make it to Auburn, those games are all streamed on the SEC Network Plus app. So we just want you to go to the game, and I think you'll be glad you did because it's not freezing cold. And so it's a great opportunity to see the number 5 baseball team in the country.
There might be some weather coming in on Sunday, but both today, Friday and Saturday, are going to be beautiful. And so they might change Saturday's game to a doubleheader if the weather is supposed to come in on Sunday. So, keep an eye out for that. But what to expect tonight, Virginia Tech transfer Jake Marciano. He's going to get the start. And again, he's somebody that Butch Thompson's been talking about how excited he is, and he's ready to take the next step, and he's ready to just kind of see how this whole group is going to be when they're actually playing somebody else, and that's going to be the true test of, all right, we just need to get going and kind of get in a rhythm somewhere and kind of see how this team, really plays together.
It's all about pitching in baseball. You can have great position players, you can hit the ball, but if your pitching struggles, and we've seen Auburn teams that haven't been solid in the bullpen, and when you have to go to the bullpen, you struggle and you lose games. And this year, that's one of the strengths of this team is the depth of this pitching staff. As you said, bring in a guy like Jake Marciano, who was highly touted in the portal, a left-handed pitcher. I remember us talking about that when Auburn got him out of the portal and what a big pickup that was. That's how big it was. Is he's going to get the ball in his hand tonight. Mm-hmm. That's how big of a pickup it was. And then you go with sophomore left-handed pitcher Jackson Sanders for game 2, and then Alex Petrovic is a righty that will go. He's a redshirt sophomore. But as you look down through here and you look at, all the other guys, Christian Chatterton, Andre Alvarez, Drew Whalen, there's just a load of guys that that Auburn's going to rely on. And when you look at Butch Thompson's history, the reason pitchers want to come to Auburn is because of him. You know, that's what his background is. That's what he's done his entire life. Why he was so good at Mississippi State. And, you know, he's always been able to get top-notch pitchers. And you add that in with the roster hitting this year, with the guys coming back that we've talked about. This is a star-studded lineup, and it has a lot to do with guys that came back and the experience that they're bringing in, plus some of the new guys they're adding in. I don't know that we've had a roster this loaded in a long time, and I think that's why the national pundits have Auburn at number 5 in Baseball America, and that's the highest ranking a preseason Auburn baseball team's had since 2005.
Again, I mean, you're going to have 10 weekends full of SEC play, and that's going to be honestly the true test to all of this, because as Auburn is number 5 in the national rankings, they're also ranked 5th in SEC rankings. And again, a testament to this league and how competitive it is. But you got to get through this non-conference part of the schedule, remain healthy,
yes,
to get to the SEC conference games, where you're going to be seeing some really good teams and have really difficult matchups. But again, the health part has been where Auburn has struggled.
Right. Baseball is a marathon, not a sprint. So you got to be able to manage guys. You really need to have as deep of a bullpen and as many contributing out of that bullpen as possible. Obviously, we are seeing the detriment of not having depth right now in basketball. Can't believe we've gone almost 40 minutes on a podcast and not talked one bit about basketball, but Auburn will be in action tomorrow night again. But going back to this roster, you just interviewed Bristol Carter. He was a big pickup from ECU. You got returners like Chase Fralick, who had a tremendous season last year. He's come back as a sophomore along with Chris Rembert, who's a first-team preseason All-American. And, I mean, the sky's the limit for Chris Rembert. I mean, he hit 344 last year. It just had a tremendous freshman season. And then Bub Terrell, what he's bringing to the table. You got Lucas Steele that's back. I can just go down this whole roster. But looking forward to tonight, seeing how this team gets started against Youngstown State. And, look, I'm expecting big things just like most everybody else is, but you got to also remember what you just said when you get to SEC play. Now, the tournament they're coming up on in Arlington in a week or so, lots of tough competition. They did well out there last year, kind of set the tone for the season. We'll see how Auburn does against, again, some of the top-tier competition, but you play those games to kind of get a barometer of where you are. You want to be prepared for the SEC schedule, but you're number 5 in the country, but you're picked 5th in the league. Brutal.
Yeah.
So let's shift over and talk about Auburn softball. Auburn softball off to a 5-2 start. Again, the Malveaux coaching this team really bring a tremendous energy. They've done a really good job of recruiting. We've already seen some young players contribute in some of these 7 games they played already. Big win yesterday at home to get things started against Illinois. They've got Bradley at 4:30 this afternoon, and then turn around and play Campbell at 7. And then on Saturday, it's Bradley and Binghamton on Valentine's Day, and then they'll close out again on Sunday with Campbell. So, again, you play a lot of games in softball.
Yeah, you do. And, the Malveaux last year, I remember they started the season pretty well. Then they got to SEC play, and it was pretty rough the first couple of games. And throughout the season, they got better. Things were starting to work for them and their team. And so Again, they've played some pretty good teams in these non-conference games, and it's only going to get more difficult. But again, I have a lot of faith in these Malvos.
I do too, and we'll talk more about players specifically as we move through. But just wanted to give credence to softball getting off to a 5-2 start, and really lost that first game against North Florida. I know that was disappointing, and the Malvos came out and said, I really don't even know what happened in that game. I think everybody was kind of shocked at the way that game went down, and they turned it around and went against some of the best teams. When you look at who else they had to play, and Michigan State knocked them off 9-6, turn around and beat the number 9 team in the country in Clemson 10-5, beat Penn State, lost to Pitt 12-11 in 9 innings. So a very close game there. So they were really, after that first loss, almost ran the table when they went to Clearwater after getting off to a very, very tough start against North Florida, losing 11-3 in 5 innings, but rebounded and beat Notre Dame 5-4 immediately after that. So you beat Notre Dame, you beat Michigan, you beat Penn State, you beat Clemson, you lose to Pitt. But what a great weekend! And now you turn around and beat Illinois 8-0, and you got a full slate of games coming up the rest of the weekend. It's going to be a fun watch.
Yeah, I'm excited. Can't wait to go to some of the games.
We are looking forward to it. And again, to tease everybody, on Monday we'll have a big announcement coming regarding an NIL deal that we have with somebody, and we're looking forward to it. And we'll leave it at that. We'll give you more information on Monday, so you make sure you join us there. I tell you what, we do have more information on some of our partners here, and we couldn't do the show without them.
Oliver Ross, for all of your bartending needs, they are professional licensed bartending service who is going to make sure that you have a great time with all of your guests, and you don't even have to worry about any of the bartending services. They're going to be able to handle all that. And what more could you ask for?
Can't ask for much more. They're just the best. So I talked to Mark yesterday, actually. Just great guy. Always busy. Check out Oliver Ross. Russell Medical Center. I'll concede to you on this one, Faith. You had a great experience 2 days ago.
I had such a great experience at Russell Med. They were super professional, super nice, made sure I was comfortable when I went in for the heart screenings that they are doing in this Healthy Heart Month of February, obviously with Valentine's Day tomorrow. And they are doing 3 different screenings, all for the price of, I think, less than $250, which is crazy. You don't have to go through insurance. Insurance doesn't cover a lot of these things if you are doing it just for, your own sense of relief and having it for your own knowledge. And so I think that's super important that they're doing this, and you don't have to go through insurance and pay these big, crazy prices. And if there is something wrong, they're partnered with UAB, and where else would you rather go than UAB if you do have a problem? But Russell Med is on one of the most the best location that it can be on
Yes.
280 because
Yep.
yeah, you can go from Auburn, or if you are in Alex City, super easy to get there, even from Montgomery, and you don't have to fight all the traffic. Had a great time. Loved it.
Yeah, we loved our time over there. For sure, we'll be back again. And those tests, by the way, are non-invasive. I mean, this is a scan.
Oh yeah, no, they were so easy.
These are scans. You can be done in 45 minutes. Alex City Marine, boat sales, service, storage, rentals, everything from pontoons to center consoles to bass boats. They got it all. And I tell you, like yesterday and today, you want to be in a boat. That sun, man, it felt great. And it's only going to get better as we move toward the spring. And you need to go ahead and be prepared now. And so don't be looking around at everybody else zooming around on the lake or the bay. And you go, man, I had a chance to go and get a boat and I didn't do it. Go do it now. 256-215-3474, Alex and Marie. Another great business located on Highway 280. So, all right, that wraps us up here this morning on a Friday. Again, we appreciate all of you so much for joining us, and all of you that have subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're the best.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. If you haven't, I don't know what
should.
you're waiting on. Yes, you should. And of course, like everything, that helps us out tremendously. But Auburn Blitz is presented by Glenda Mitchell Law Firm, the best in the business. Faith, we really loved catching up with her last week. Super, super person, super busy. But as you said yesterday, very attentive and focused when we were there with her, not distracted. And again, not acting like, oh, well, I got all this I got to get to. Can you hurry up? She was dialed in on what we're doing. And you can tell she's attention to detail.
Absolutely. And again, she's somebody that I want on my team. And I'm glad she's on this Auburn Blitz team because she carries a lot of weight and she also she's a boss. So glad to be partnered with her.
There's no doubt who's in charge. That's for sure. So
that's right.
Check out Glenda Mitchell. If you need help with a car accident for you or your family, she will make sure the insurance providers are held accountable and give you what you deserve. So that's what you want. All right, Faith, I will let you send us out here on this Friday morning.
Hope everyone has the best weekend ever.
Happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there that celebrates. And again, lots of great things. Go to Pepper Tree Steaks and Wine. Pick up the Valentine's Day special.
That's
Our
right.
good friends over there, Kathy, Paula, I mean, the whole 9 yards. They've got it for you. So go check them out. But hope all of you have a great and safe, happy Valentine's weekend. And we will catch you next time for the Auburn Blitz.